In today's video, we are finally going to be digging into some spoilers that are officially released by Wizards as spoiler season has begun, including two huge ones with both of the other Eldrazi Titans being revealed, those of course being Kozilek and Ulamog's new form. So there is plenty to talk about in today's video. Let's jump into it. Alright guys, thank you so much for being here. As always, I appreciate it. Please go ahead and like the video and subscribe, and then click that bell icon if you want to stay notified when new videos are posted. But yes, spoiler season is officially upon us. This has been an absolutely crazy spoiler season for a set that just looks like it's going to be one of the best products in years, perhaps unless you play Modern and you're concerned about the power creep, which I respect but can't relate to. I think from a perspective of, Commander and other formats, there's a lot of things to really kind of be excited about with these cards, and there's just some real genuine hype around this product for so many reasons. So we're going to dive into it, and obviously, stay tuned. I'll be making more videos covering things as we go. Echoes of Eternity, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this card because we did talk about it during the leaks, but I do want to say, A, it is confirmed, and B, what a beautiful looking card, even in its regular artwork. I actually kind of prefer the regular artwork versus the borderless in this case. But this card is just beyond insane. It is so strong, and there are so many ways to lower its cost, especially being colorless, and it's searchable because it's an Eldrazi card, so there are so many ways to utilize this card. It's absolutely going to be a force to be reckoned with in, I think, probably Modern and Commander, but I mean, specifically for decks that can reduce or bypass this cost, it's just going to be completely insane. Echoes of Eternity, just genuinely just a really, really strong card. More so wanted to confirm its existence, but also just show off its beautifully crafted artwork as well. Now, Frogmere Enforcer is a 7-drop artifact creature. Frogmere with Prototype, 3 and a red. Prototype making a return after Brothers War, where basically you can cast it for an alternate cost, but it gets alternate stats as well. It has affinity for artifacts. It costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. I don't know if that counts for the Prototype as well, meaning you could cast it for less, but I think that it would probably be that way. It's an interesting card to say the least. Not anything super crazy, but it is another mirror, and it is just a decent decent card for decks that can utilize it. I mean, I don't see anything crazy about it, but I know people have talked about it a little bit, and it was one of the early preview cards they showed, so if there's something I'm missing, feel free to enlighten me in the comments down below. Overall, always nice to see more mirror support, though. Whether or not it's great is to be determined. Mog Mob is a 3-red goblin that says sacrifice Mog Mob. It deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. This did not need to be 3 red. It could have very easily been either 2 red, or if you really wanted to make it like 2 and a red, but it did not need to be 3 red specifically. Not that goblins are going to worry too much about that because they typically play just red for the most part, but it's very much a middle of the road card. I suppose it is cute in the sense that you can use it to take out a bunch of small creatures, but is it really going to be worth the investment of the 3 red mana when there's so many things you could probably do better? I would say probably not. However, it is a cool card, and obviously, the amount of, hopefully we're going to get some more goblins as the spoilers continue. Definitely a popular archetype among players. Petrifying Meddler is 4 and a blue Eldrazi with Devoid. When you cast a spell, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. It also has reach. Nothing crazy. Cool artwork, though, as most of the Eldrazi have. Looks like a mini version of Ulamog, if you will. Definitely like it for what it is, but I don't think it's going to see any real play. Although, I mean, maybe you see play in draft? I don't know. I'm really not sure. I don't think it's anything crazy, though, but still covering it as it comes out. Speaking of things that are quite crazy, White Orchid Phantom is 2 white creature Spirit Knight with flying and first strike. When it enters battlefield, destroy up to 1 target non-basic land. Its controller may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So very similar in design to Knight of the White Orchid. Obviously, instead of fetching you a land from the deck, it destroys a target a non-basic land. This is going to be really good at getting over certain things. I think of cards like Ugin's Labyrinth, which is one of the new cards coming out in this set, as something this can pop. But obviously, there are tons of non-basic lands this can get over. Things like Eye of Ugin can be popped by this if you're playing against Eldrazi in Modern. But there's just so many different. It's interesting to basically put a Field of Ruin type effect onto a body that also has flying and first strike. It's a neat card for sure, and I think it's going to be worth consideration. It's definitely one of the things I think maybe, stronger in Modern than Commander, but it's still a card that I would look at and say, all right. Plus, Richard Kane Ferguson outdid himself again. Some phenomenal artwork on this card for its borderless version, and just have to say, just just kind of wild when you think about it, how good the artwork has become. Now, moving on to one of the main attractions, one of the new Titans, Kozilek, the Broken Reality. You know, unfortunately for him, they continue to draw him in the most phallic ways possible, which, you know, is fine. It's just funny in comparison to his suggestive designs, perhaps, although none as bad as the Double Masters 2022 profile art one. But this card is actually quite interesting. It's a 9-drop, 9/9 legendary Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. So if you're unfamiliar with Manifest, basically you put it on a battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, and then you can turn it face up for mana cost. We got a lot of cards that function similarly to that in Murders, because they had the disguise mechanic, and there were also some cards that can flip face down things face up. This Ugin obviously does this as well. The thing about this is neat is that, you know, you can, you know, politic within a pod to choose an opponent to be like, hey, I'll let you put some cards down, you know, whatever. But you draw a card for each one manifested. So even if your opponent puts 2 down, you still draw 2 cards. So you can get the advantage game going. Obviously, you are giving your opponent the ability to put those on the field, but that honestly may end up hurting them, you know, more than helping them if you can pop whatever it is, and then, you know, you get a card out of their hand. Then again, why would they want to put that down on the board? I mean, there's a lot of different things to consider with it. Of course, other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. So your manifests are going to be 5/4, and your Eldrazi Scions and Spawns are going to get buffed up as well, which will work quite nicely with some of the other new cards we've seen. He's definitely good. I would say he's more balanced than any of the other ones. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like a game-breaking card, but it's probably worth inclusion, and I think in Modern as well may end up seeing some love. It is unfortunately the weakest of the 3, in my opinion, but it's still a really good card. Now, the exact opposite is Ulamog the Defiler. This card is batshit crazy. It's a 10-drop 7/7 legendary Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. Thankfully, they didn't make that mill, because you could use this with like Brewvac and just basically mill your opponent out, which will be busted. Ward sacrifice 2 permanents, so as if Annihilator wasn't annoying enough, if you want to get over this, you got to sacrifice 2 permanents plus whatever cards you're going to hit it with. Ulamog enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. Ulamog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. This is just disgusting. People pointed out how you can utilize, obviously, Ugin's Labyrinth. It's a card that lets you exile stuff, but also the elementals that evoke, you can exile cards with them to set up Ulamog to have something big that he can then, you know, capture to get the Annihilator from. This card does a lot, and it is genuinely a very, very toxic feeling card that I think is going to fuck some people's shit up, to put it mildly. Just a wild design, and it looks amazing. I mean, every variation of his artwork looks great, in my opinion. Even the profile art that they showed off for him, which I can pop on the screen if you guys want to see that, is just a crazy card. This is, for me, in my opinion, the best of the 3, and that's not to say the new Emrakul is not good. I just think the Ulamog is pretty wild. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, which one you think is the best of the 3. But I feel like Ulamog has to be very, very much in consideration for that slot. Now, a couple other Eldrazi that are quite good to round us out here. Hideous Taskmaster is 6 and a red with Devoid. When you cast this spell, for each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain Trample, Haste, and Annihilator 1 till end of turn. He himself also has Trample, Haste, Annihilator 1. Kind of batshit crazy. It is a 7/2, and it doesn't have Indestructible, so there are ways to kind of get rid of it relatively easily, but taking creatures from everyone for 7 mana and then just being able to Annihilator realistically 3-4 times at least with just the creatures you take, if you take one from everyone, pretty nuts. Very, very strong card. This card is commander only, just to note, so the set code M3C, it will not be legal in Modern, thankfully, but it is a card that is going to be very, very good in commander, and I don't know the state of some of the more, you know, the more longevity-based Eternal formats like Vintage and Legacy, but it might have a spot there too. I'm not sure. And finally, Eldrazi Ravager, 5 and a waste creature, Eldrazi Annihilator 1. Sacrifice 2 Eldrazi, return Eldrazi Ravager from your graveyard to your hand, cycling 2. Overall, a pretty solid card. It isn't uncommon, but you can bring it back to the hand by sacrificing off some spawns, which is certainly not bad. Do I think it's going to be game-breaking? No, but it's definitely neat enough with the recursion that it might be worth looking at. Obviously, if you're playing colorless commander where you have, you know, a limited number of options to include in the deck for creatures, this is definitely one to at least consider. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, a crazy amount of cards here have been revealed, and I'm not going to get to them all in one video, and also you guys don't want to watch like a 40-minute video. Kind of milking it. I'm not trying to do that. So here's what we're looking for. Quick and easy. Let me know what you think of the Eldrazi so far. I definitely think that Ulamog is the best of the 3, but there are some conversations to be had. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.